Hey guys, how's it going? It's Spirit Wars here, and today I'm going to do a video on how to judge distance using the Revi site in Cliffs of Dover. So I want you to take a look at the spit. How far do you think it is? Here's a hurricane, different distance. How far do you think he is? Now I'm going to show you exactly how to work it out. There's a formula that I found. It's the wingspan of the enemy plane times by the number of times it fits into the circle times by 10, and that gives you the distance from the plane. So a Spitfire has a wingspan of 11.23 meters, and a Hurricane has a wingspan of 12.2 meters. Let's take a look of a Hurricane and a Spitfire when it takes up the entire site, wingtip to wingtip. So 11.23 meters is the wingspan, and you can see it takes up the whole circle once. So you put it times 1 and then times 10. That gives you 112 meters roughly. So that's how far the spit is. Now let's take a look with the Hurricane. When it's taking up roughly your whole site, 12.2 meters is the wingspan. Times that by 1 because it takes it up once. Then you times it by 10, and that should give you 122 meters. Now I'm going to show you what it's like for different fractions, not just the whole site. And I'll be working backwards because that'll be the furthest distance away, and it's how you will see an enemy. It'll be from furthest to closest. So a quarter of the site, you'll be timesing it by 4 instead of 1 because it takes up 4 of those amounts to make the whole site. So you times it by 4, and it gives you 449 meters roughly. And now let's see with the Hurricane, it's the same deal. Times the wingspan by 4 by 10 gives you 488 meters. Now a third of the site will be times by 3 because it takes 3 of them to make the whole site. That gives you 337 meters, and for a Hurricane, 366 meters. Now when it takes up half the site, you'll be timesing it by 2, which gives you 225 meters and 244 meters for the Hurricane. When the enemy plane takes up 2/3 of your site, you'll be timesing it by 1.66, which gives you 149 meters. Same thing for the Hurricane, gives you 162 meters. With 3/4 site, you're timesing it by 1.75, which gives you 140 meters. Same with the Hurricane, it's going to give you 152 meters. So you can see the difference between 2/3 and 3/4 site is very minimal. So you need to choose one that you like out of those two and probably just choose one of them to judge off. So now let's take a look at the full measure of distances. So the enemy plane here, the Spitfire, is really far. It's probably about an 8, which makes it 898 meters. In between that to the next point of reference, it's between 898 and 447 meters. Just take a look at how quickly you cover that distance. Now already at quarter site, 447 meters away. Third site, 337 meters. Look at how quickly it comes up. 225 meters, and just take a look at the enemy plane in reference to your site, because this is what you'll be looking for in game. 149 meters at 2/3. It's almost instant to get to 3/4, which is 140. Full site, 112 meters. Double site is 66 meters, and if you haven't dodged already, you better dodge quickly. Now let's take a look with the Hurricane. You can see it's very far. and it's good to know how far he really is, because Mina Geschoss only has 750 meters range. You can see when he's at 1/8 of the sight, it's past that, so you shouldn't be shooting at these ranges unless you're just using your MGs. So now we're slowly creeping up. He's up to 1/4 now, 488 meters. I've traveled 400 meters already, that quickly. Down to 366 meters, 1/3 of the sight. Half the sight, 244 meters. 2/3, 162 meters. 3/4, 152 meters. And full sight, 122 meters. So it doesn't just work for working it out on the 6 of an opponent, it also works for deflection shots. You can still size up the plane to the circle. So right here you can see he's roughly between 1/4 and 1/3 of the sight, which is 449 to 337. And I start shooting at 225 meters to 150 meters away. Here's another clip of me cutting the corner on a Spitfire and taking a deflection shot at him. Now I'm going to slow it down and pause it, and you can actually see the distance. So it's around 3/4 of the sight, so about 140 meters away. So why is it important to know the distance of the plane? Well, 3 reasons. It lets you know how long you've got before you have to break off the attack. It lets you know the maximum range of an enemy to shoot at. Like I said, the 750 meters max range of the Mina Geschoss. And it allows you to shoot at the perfect time so that your shells meet in a pinpoint. It makes you more efficient at taking them out and more accurate as well. Now here's a clip of how not to do it. This clip sums up 3 different things perfectly. Firstly, I don't realize that the Spit's in a climb, so I'm approaching him way too fast. I don't pull lead quick enough, and by the time I do shoot, right here, I can't even evade. So I only start shooting around 112 meters, less than that probably, which is way too late. And what it actually does is it makes me extremely inaccurate because of the angle I'm shooting at, but also because I'm shooting so close when my guns are set to 200 meters. I only hit 3 out of the 18 shells. Now, to change your gun convergence, you go into player plane and you go out to loadout, go into the guns tab, and you can see the horizontal and vertical convergence there, along with the different gun selections. You can change it for specific guns. So this is a personal preference. You can have it at whatever you like, whatever you feel hits, but it's key to know what are your convergence. See, I have mine set to 200, so I need to know where the plane is at 200. I've also set my wing cannons at 10 meters higher than my nose cannons for the vertical, just because I feel like it brings them up closer together when I shoot at that distance. Now let's take a look at bad positioning, when I'm shooting too close and when I misfire. Watch how many shells miss the actual plane. You can see both my cannon went over the wings and how spread out they are. They're hitting both wings. So I'm specifically aiming fairly high to show you how both can miss fairly easily. And look how far off center you have to aim for one of your cannons to hit the mass of the plane, while the other one hits far into the wing. The reason why this is bad is because you're wasting so many shells, you're only hitting a couple with one of them. And most of the time you don't have this long to fire at the opponent. Here's another clip of the same thing. And I'm purposely aiming to the left so I can hit with my right cannon. So you can make it work if you have fairly spaced out convergence and you're close on an opponent. You can specifically aim so that you know where your shells are going to hit. And in this case I take the tail right off of the Spitfire. But again, I do miss a lot of shells with my left cannon. So this is how not to do it. This is firing way past 200. Even if it did hit, you can see it would hit near the tips of the wing. Now I'm going to show you what it's like when you shoot at the right distance. So I'm set for 200 meters, so we want to wait for around half to 3/4, which is now. Pilot kill and fairly accurate convergence. Here you can see a slow motion of that short burst. Very accurate, they're all exploding very close together near the mass of the plane, or where I aimed, and that killed the pilot. Very few shells actually missed, only about 4. When you get distance right with deflection shots, it can be quite brutal, but I'll be going into a further video, into more detail in a further video about deflection shooting with gun convergence, as one cannon will be spreading away from the opponent, which can make it fairly inaccurate. But I want you to look at how many shells actually miss. You're only hitting with 1 or 2 rounds out of the 6. Hey guys, so a quick tip would be, if you struggle remembering all those values and the meters and actually which different fraction means what meter, I write them all down. I've got them written down on a knee pad that I use when I fly, and it comes in really handy, and I highlight the value that best suits my convergence. So try that out, it might help. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it helped a lot. Please like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll be coming out with more tutorials and tests in the future.